5, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy. You are on the lifeboat. Sorry, I queued that up and I thought I had a lot more time than I did. And I looked up. Did you guys hear any music when this came on? Anybody? I know it's going to take you a long time to answer that, but if you guys heard that music, I'm probably going to stop this and then start it again because I'm going to get in big trouble with YouTube, who's not only going to demonetize this, which doesn't matter because they don't really pay on any of our stuff anyway, because I say DRUGS, and they get really upset when you say that, apparently. You can drop F-bombs and do anything else you want. You just can't say the word drugs. See, they think I'm telling people to get high. And then they'll say, we had a human being look at your video, which I'm going to tell you the truth. No human being has ever looked at any video on YouTube. That's just one of those things that they say. Because if anybody ever listened to one of my videos, they would know that I don't promote drug use of any kind. Was the music Rod Stewart? Screw it. I'm going to get a strike. It's all good. I'm not going to start this again. I don't want to poop. I was listening to Rod Stewart. I was in a Rod Stewart mood. So whatever. They're going to... I only heard normal intro music. Oh, okay. Maybe that worked out. All right. We'll see what happens. I was listening to a Rod Stewart concert, not one of his early ones. I was listening to one of the most recent Rod Stewart concerts. Now that he's old and his voice is really gravelly and pretty good show though. All right, how are you, everybody? I hope you're well. You didn't hear Rod Stewart. Thank you, Hummingbird. Appreciate it. Hey, full of hope. Good to see you this morning. Glad that you're here. Only intro. Good. Thank you. All right. Now we can get on with this. Sorry I fired it up a little early, people, but the times there are changing. And for that reason, the sun's coming up a little bit earlier. And I want to make sure that I catch as many of them as possible. So this morning, I'm going to this one. I don't know how long this lifeboat's going to go. I'm sorry. I know that I'm disjointed. I just got off the longest live feed I've ever done in my life. I know what you're thinking. I didn't see a thing for a live feed. Well, that's because I've been sitting here on Skype not really on a live feed, and it was a show for two, I guess. It was really supposed to be a show for one, I think, but so there was two people in the room. L stands for Lydia, and I spent the last 9 hours with Lydia and her aunt, one of the most courageous people that I've ever met, and she knows I'm going to tell this story, so I have a feeling that she's going to come on this week, but you'll hear her voice, but she does not want her face shown, and I understand that. She said she's not ashamed of anything. She just isn't a public speaker, but she doesn't mind people hearing her voice, but she feels like if she is seen, it's going to make it very difficult. So that's I get that. So anyway, so I literally have spent the last 9 hours or so sitting here and doing a lifeboat show, which was far less motivation and more, or maybe it was more, I don't know. So Lydia took 2 strips of Suboxone yesterday. If you didn't catch last night's show, Lydia took 2 strips of Suboxone and told me she was going to. It was going to put her in precipitative withdrawal. If I've never explained that to you before on the lifeboat, I know I explained it on last night's show, and I've probably explained it on shows before. Sadly, I don't remember how many, if I did. My brain is the old gray matter. It ain't what it used to be. Anywho, Suboxone, buprenorphine, plays king of the hill with any other opiates. I don't know if you played that game when you were a kid, but like the guy on the top or the gal on the top tries to maintain staying on top by knocking down anyone who tries to come up and knock them down. And buprenorphine, for whatever reason, is able to knock any other opiate off of the hill. I mean, I don't care what the opiate is. I don't care how strong it is. Nitazine, whatever, no matter how strong it is, buprenorphine will knock it off of the receptor. And just so you go from having a whole bunch of dope in your system to not having any dope in your system, but you go in a matter of minutes instead of a 72-hour slow decline, you just jump off the cliff. And yesterday at a library, she told me that she was going to do this. I didn't get the whole story, but for yesterday, because I didn't know really how much. I mean, I had permission to tell the story. I didn't have permission to. I didn't ask for permission well enough. But I went in a room with her aunt to give her the watch. I did not know that in the library was her niece until she told me, and then she went and got her and brought her into the room that we were in, and we had a conversation, and then we got her to the doctor on a video call. She went and picked up the Suboxone yesterday, and she's a believer, so she prayed with her aunt prior to snarfing 2, and I said 2 strips. She used 3 because after reading a bunch of stuff online, she was afraid that if she decided to do this all the way, that it wouldn't kick off all of the buprenorphine with 2 strips, but that 24 milligrams. I don't know whether there's, honestly, this is not something that I've spent a lot of time studying, but whether that was the right idea or the wrong idea, it certainly knocked all of the fentanyl off of the receptors in her, because she went into a just tailspin of hell. And when the lifeboat was going on last night and I was doing my show, she was already going through it in a really, really big way, and vomiting and every symptom that you can think of withdrawal. She was suffering, and she took several showers, which had to just be unbearable because water hitting you when you're in withdrawal. So I think it was Tommy Bird that said that he got relief from that. I've never heard anybody else say that they've got relief from that. you know. Um, so, but anyway, she took a couple of showers, which must have been quite tough, and then had a good long bath, which probably was a better idea. But her aunt reached out to me and said, "I don't know how the hell she's going to get through the rest of this night." Um, and she said she had that look like the fight or flight. And she said, "I just don't know that she's going to stay here. I'm probably going to have to stay up all night because I just have a feeling she will try to go out and get dope." And I said, "The dope isn't going to do anything at this point. It's not like she could, smoke her way out of this. It would be a very difficult thing to do. It's really not how it works." Like, and I tried to explain this to her, that there wasn't much of a chance of doing anything to get relief. So I got on the messenger app last night, but sitting here like this, and I started to try to talk her into just riding out the rest of it, because there really was no other option. And you get brain fog, and so she anyway. I said, there's nothing you can do about this. This is going to be so. I determined to not stop talking as long as she was willing to listen. And then after let's see, I got on at about, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something, and I'm answering texts. I wasn't like literally talking nonstop. I answered some texts and a couple of emails, but for the most part, I talked nonstop for about 9 hours. And then her aunt, God bless her, said to me, "So there's nothing that she can't take any opiates." Not, I said, "No, she can't. It's not going to do anything." This is about 9 hours into this. She goes, "What about like a muscle relaxer?" I said, "You have muscle relaxers?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "What muscle relaxer is it?" She said, "Hold on." And she runs and gets it, and she comes back and she said, "It's called Cara." I said, "Carisoprodol." She said, "Yeah, that is soma compound." I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not a doctor, but I have a pretty good handle on what every pill on this planet that can get you buzzed in any way is. So I've done a ton of carisoprodol, and it is one of the things that is a beautiful thing. If you are in withdrawal, carisoprodol is something that doctors will give you if you're in withdrawal. I mean, they're not going to get you looped, but it's something to get rid of the muscle cramping and all of that. It's just one of the most ideal things. And I said, with all due respect, her aunt's name, I'm not going to mention, but I said, "Goodness, this would have been really good information maybe 7 or 8 hours ago." And she said, "Well, I also have Valiums." And I said, once again, that probably would have been good information a few hours ago. And then I took my phone and I started texting the aunt, and I said, "She's going to want to eat both bottles of those. Like, you really are going to have to be, it may have been better to text that than to say it in front of her." But Lydia then took, after they both did some reading online and asking my opinion, and I said, "I'm really not the person to give you an opinion. Like, I got one, and I have a pretty good idea of what would be the right thing to do, but I'm scared crapless to do anything that could resemble medical advice." She's 5 foot nothing and weighs maybe 100 pounds, but she took 10 milligrams of diazepam, which is Valium, and then she took 300 and then she took 350 milligrams of carisoprodol. So basically, she took one of each pills, and in about 25 minutes, fell asleep, which was really a beautiful thing. I watched her just sort of fade away, but and just sort of make this beautiful light snoring sound. And her aunt really is an angel who is sitting and watching her. I said to her, when she wakes up, this is over. She's not going to be sick. There's no chance in hell she's going to be sick. And to be really, really honest, when I said, when you see the sun come up, you're going to be fine, I figured she'd be fine by probably about 4, 3:30, 4 a.m., maybe even 2:30 a.m. She wasn't, but by the time the sun comes up, it's going to be all kinds of over. Like, she will have gone through this hell. And sure, she's going to be in withdrawal, but it isn't going to be precipitative withdrawal. It's going to be a very mild, because it's just going to be the brain being pissed off. It's not really going to be receptor issues or anything else. It's just going to be, there ain't going to be any dope in her system. It's going to be a completely different withdrawal than the one that she went through. And her aunt is going to give her 16 milligrams of buprenorphine, at which point it's going to be like, there's just not going to be, she's going to, at first, she's going to look around waiting for a buzz, which is not going to come. And that's probably going to freak her out a little bit. But she's not going to be sick in any way, which is a really, really cool thing. And I have very high hopes for her future. I was talking with somebody last night about whether or not they thought I was, that she was going to end up back on drugs. And I said she might. I told her this as well, but I don't think she'll ever be back on opiates. She's going to have to guard herself against finding another substance, because this was a symptom of something. And I'm trying to explain that last night. She's going to have to listen to a lot of lifeboats that I've done in the past, because I would imagine in 9 hours of advice and me telling her everything I could possibly think of about addiction and everything else, she probably heard about 10 or 15 minutes of anything I said, if at all. She was just, it was one of those things that that I just thought I would just keep talking until, it was over. But I don't think I was having much of an effect, other than she didn't want to walk away because it would have been disrespectful, kind of thing. I think that she sat there in front of the screen because it was it would have been really mean to do to Captain Tommy if she walked away. And but I have absolutely no brain power, no brain power left at all this morning. I am suffering from brain fog considerably more than I normally do. And I have mentioned in the past that brain fog has become a bit of an issue in my life anyway, because I've had too many shots to the head, and it has it's caused a bit of a dead spot on my brain. It's called counter coup. So when I would over-rotate a back flip on skis, you'd put your arms down like this, and it would blow out both of your shoulders. Hey, Tim, welcome. Really appreciate you. It's good to see you. And it's good to see you in green. You look great in green. Truthfully, you look fantastic in green. So I would over-rotate a back flip, and you're coming into the jump at about 30 miles an hour, maybe 35 miles an hour. So, and then you launch into the air. And if you over-rotate, you're obviously not going to land standing up. You're going to land on your back. And human nature makes you put your arms back when you're going to land on your back. But at 35 miles an hour, if your arms are the first thing to hit the ground, your shoulders, your collarbones, everything is gone. And it's awful because sometimes it happens to both sides at the same time. You get what is a total. So you break your collarbones, you dislocate your shoulders, you tear the labrum, the rotator cuff, it's all gone. Boom. So I've had about a half a dozen of those mistakes in my life. And the coach finally trained myself and everyone else who did backflips that if you knew you over-rotated, that your best bet was to cross your arms. And what would happen is your back would hit the ground and then your head would. And when your head would hit the snow, your brain would sort of slosh around in the cerebrospinal fluid, and it would come to, your brain is not solid in there. It kind of floats around in there. which is why the liquid is there, in theory, to be a shock absorber of sorts and to keep everything in there kind of comfortable. But in that wave of cerebral spinal fluid, your brain goes to the back of your skull and then it comes forward, right? That would be the coup. And then the counter coup is when that thing smacks against the front of your skull. And that happened to me, honestly, I don't know, 20 times. I know that there were over a dozen actual, like I took the time to go and see a doctor and all of that and get a diagnosis of a concussion. I don't know how many that I got that were not reported because anyway. And the really crazy thing is that over a very long period of time, they started to have people put on helmets. I'll be really honest. I don't know if that would have done a whole lot of anything, but I had done tens of thousands of backflips, maybe more than that. I don't know. I mean, there were days you went out and did 150 of them or 250 of them or whatever. And the way that you do a backflip is that your body follows your head. So you look backwards like this, and your body is going to follow whatever you do with your head. That's why you see some people land upside down, because when they see the ground, they panic. And instead of continuing to look backwards, they stare at the ground. If you stare at the ground, it's going to come up at you and you're going to land flat on your face, break your neck, all kinds of bad things. But all of a sudden, they wanted us to add about a pound to our head. The helmets were not light like they are today. They were a thing. So all of a sudden it became very, very difficult to do backflips. So I took it off, and so did everybody else. It was, I don't know what the hell this thing is doing. So I took it off. I took off the helmet, and then I never put it back on. And that was so that was that. And but anyway, it has cost me. It is now that I'm at the age that I'm at, brain fog has become a very serious issue. So when I don't get a lot of sleep, I apologize. Probably not a very good lifeboat. I don't have a whole lot of focus this morning, but Lydia is asleep, and I should think that she should sleep for probably 4 hours or so. Her aunt literally is a saint who is just staring at her while she's sleeping. She's probably listening to the lifeboat right now, but she is just staring at her sleeping, and that is really that's a kind of kindness that I don't know exists too many places. I mean, mothers, but for an aunt to do that. And, just in case her mom ever watches, your sister is something. That is, if Lydia's mom ever catches this, you owe your sister one. And with all due respect, her sister is, Lydia's aunt is older than I am. So to do a show, to stay up as long as she's done and watched what she has been watching, God bless you. That is absolutely something. So in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all of this last night, I got a fax at about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30 California time. It was a fax from Tucson, Arizona. I have been looking at property in Arizona, as I think I have told everybody, and there's a property that I want. And, you get all of these things in the mail, or on the email, and you look at all these properties. And I'll be really honest, I can't stand the vast majority of houses down there. And I know I'm just going to have to get used to that architecture, but the architecture of the entire state is just so much different than anywhere that I've lived that I tend to judge them by houses in other places. And you can't do that because, you're not going to see a Cape Cod style house in Arizona. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, or a Tudor style house, right, in Arizona. It has this Southwest architecture, and I'm moving there, so I probably ought to get used to it. But I saw this one house, and from the back, I love it. It is just the most beautiful home you've ever seen, and it's got a saltwater pool. which I guess is really good for your skin. And as opposed to a freshwater pool, it has a freshwater hot tub, but it's got a saltwater pool, and it sits on a big pile of land, big enough with a private driveway, so I don't have to worry about anybody running over Squirrel Nut Zipper if she gets outside. Rotten animal. But this is the property that I want, and I've looked at so many houses, and this is the one that the first one that lit me up. And it's going to be the location of the lifeboat for the rest of the time that I'm able to do the lifeboat. Right? So this is kind of a bit of a big deal. And the office of the house has a huge window that lets in light against a wall that is going to be green. Although if I turn the entire thing around, I was showing Linda the other day, if I were to turn the entire thing around and had the window at my back, it would look exactly like the backdrop that I've been using. Let me see something. Well, if I can change a backdrop while I'm doing this, because I've never tried. But let's see if this works. I didn't know what day it was when you were. There you go. So this is what it will look like in that office. If I look out the back, I mean the front window instead, that's honestly about what it looks like. There's a beautiful view from all 360 degrees. It kind of sits on the top of the hill. I love this house. And it's the first one that I looked at that I like. So they had an open house yesterday, and I got kind of stressed out about it because when you have an open house, you let a couple of hundred people walk through it. Someone's going to buy it. And so I had somebody go there for me and walk through the open house. And I said, what do you think? Because all I've seen is pictures. And I saw 45 pictures or something. I've seen a lot of pictures of it, but including taken from a drone and all kinds of stuff. But, when you're not in there and you can't sort of put your hands on things. And she said, well, there's a few things that need work, but it's got a great location, and the bones of the house are really, really solid as hell, and it's just, she thought that there were some things that were outstyled. She said, this is really an old house. And I was like, well, how old are we talking about? And then she proceeded to mention an age that's a hell of a lot younger than I am, which made me feel good, right? If that's old, I am really old. But anyway, so I said, well, make the people the owner an offer, and we'll see what happens. And I just really kind of assumed that a bunch of other people would have already made an offer as well. But anywho, they accepted the offer. So now I've got a very exciting stretch ahead of me, and I am very happy about all of that. It is going to bring on some stressors over probably from now until July, but by July, like, this house is ready to go. Like, this house is packed and ready to go. And after they accepted the offer, the realtor accepted the offer, I got a text from the realtor that said, would you be willing to lease the house back to the owner until June something or other? Because I think they weren't sure it was going to sell as fast as it did. And now they're not sure where they're going to go. They haven't purchased a new place yet or something, or the new place they purchased. I don't know all the details because I didn't need to know all the details, so I didn't get them all. But it seemed like it would have been cruel to say no to that, right? I mean, this is your house for the time being, and you need to have some place to go. So before my birthday, which is in July, I will be in a new captain's quarters for the lifeboat, and I'm really excited about this move. I'm also a little bit stressed because moving is one of those things. Squirrel was a new toy with my membership fee. All right, Tim. Yeah, she absolutely needs to. What that cat needs is a new toy. As long as it doesn't have catnip in it. I've come to realize that just a little catnip can absolutely destroy uh, my day. Squirrel will get. She's a wildcat without it. It's actually pretty entertaining, but yes, that was the Rod Stewart song, "Full of Hope." That was the thank you, the guy. It's pretty exciting times. You know what? You decide to move. Like I've packed my entire house. This was a foregone conclusion that I had intended to move, but it feels a lot more real today than it did yesterday, which was unusual timing. Like with everything else that went on and the whole Lydia thing. Oh God, poor Lydia. The Lydia has a boyfriend that she had dated for a long period of time who did not do fen. It's very kind of a rare thing, especially the younger you get. Like if you find an opiate addict in their 20s, the odds that they're dating someone that is not an opiate addict is really kind of strange. The older you get, someone, has been with you for 10 or 15 years, they put up with you being addicted to something or whatever. But this guy has been riding out this addiction with her for a long time, which really kind of in a lot of ways makes me think he's probably a real stand-up cat. But one of the reasons that she had decided to quit was that he had kind of said, I can't do this anymore. If you could get sober, I would love to have you in my life, but I can't do this anymore. So maybe we say a prayer that all goes really well too. I mean, that's going to be another, I'm just really sort of pulling for that. So yeah, so I just bought a house. And as I said, this house is completely packed up, with the exception of the furniture and my Captain Kirk picture hanging on the wall, which isn't my Captain Kirk picture, but it's hanging on the wall. That is one of the few things that I didn't pack up. Sorry. Squirrel does want a new toy, though, Tim. You're right. Here's the funny thing about Squirrel. So I have trained the cat that if I give her a treat, oh, I don't know, she's in the garage. I could have said treat. If I give the cat a treat, there's only one place that I give it to her. So she has this like little tower in the middle of my in this, not in the middle, but in the side of my living room. And it's like a scratching post on one side, and it's like a carpeted post on the other. And she sits on this little thing. It's about 4 feet high or whatever. But that's where she gets treats. So if I say treat, she just runs over and jumps up in it and waits. It's also where I throw her toys. So in this top little thing is like, I don't know, 1,700 cat toys, right? Because Squirrel is the most spoiled animal in the world. But when Squirrel gets into this squirrel mood, she just goes over, gets on the top, and picks every single one of the toys up and throws it on the floor. So and looks at me like she's going to pick up one that is going to make me want to play with her. Then she will go and get a ball of yarn and grab the thing. And there are days that I wake up and I come downstairs and there are 6-7 balls of yarn that she has gotten, and there's string like spider webbing the entire house because Squirrel just thought, I'm going to get the right one of these and he's going to wake up and play with me, which is last night. Squirrel was very, very angry. Squirrel's not happy at all because I've been up for 9 hours and was not playing with her. So she's pouting in the garage because the entire world revolves around Squirrel. And she's right, it really does, but it didn't last night. M. Hunt, scramble up 2 eggs for me. And if you've got sourdough, I'll take some sourdough toast. And I don't know, it's probably a tall order, but if you can make eggs Benedict, I'm a pretty big fan. All right, people. I am probably going to call this one early. That thing you saw me do a second ago to my phone was that was Lydia's aunt, and apparently Lydia is awake. I'm going to just ring her back up and walk her through what the rest of this day is going to be like. She hopefully, when she takes the Suboxone, she's going to go back to sleep, because by my math, she's gotten about an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours of sleep. So I was hoping that she would sleep longer than that. But I'm going to call this one a little early, fam, and I apologize. What are we at? We're at about 37 minutes. I truly am sorry, but I'm going to finish what I started, so to speak. And I'm going to put on some Rod Stewart. Really in a Rod Stewart mood. Alrighty, fam. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and the spoiled animal is in the garage. So yeah, I'm a little recap of this morning's show. I can't link together 4 thoughts because of how long I've been awake. I bought a new house in Tucson, Arizona that I'm pretty excited about. And Lydia made it through the night. Monk. Good to see you, bud. I will hopefully be back this evening to do the lifeboat. If I'm not, there will be somebody doing it. Heather Joy will. She has volunteered to take it if I get some sleep, because I'm going to have to get some sleep. I'm really getting punchy. So, but I hope Z. Good to see you. But I hope to see you all this evening. Thank you, Jennifer Rice, with a kind thing to say. That is really, really a kind thing to say. And Squirrel says, have a great day. He can't hear her, but I assure you that's what that meow I'm hearing is. Tell everybody have a great day. We'll see you this evening. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and this was the Lifeboat.